We marched, we picketed, some of us went to jail, but the ministers weren't doing it.
Well, then say group of UUCAs, or UCAers maybe.
Well, I said we were joined by clergy from other churches, not ours.
Yeah, that's good.
Barbara's going around filming about memories that people have about social justice.
She works for Alive. She's the president of Alive.
Well, for a while we were talking about Alive and how the UUCA board agreed for our congregation to affiliate with Alive. They did that back in 1990. Several members from the congregation who had had regular jobs at Alive in the Family Emergency Program office, and they've gone in, 3 or 4 days a month to work long periods of time in that office delivering that program. So we have become very involved, and we've gotten to know a lot of other congregations of different faiths who are doing the same work when we work together at Alive. So I think it's been good.
I'm going to get the before you go.
I've got a story for you.
Social justice, religious education.
In the late 60s, I think 68 or 69, I don't remember which, Vera, then the music director, performed in the church an opera, The Christmas Story of Karl Orff, which uses a lot of children. And she recruited quite a few black children, among whom was Charles Monroe. When he was 10 years old, he was one of the three kings in that performance of the Christmas Story of Karl Orff, which was televised nationally by CBS and repeated the following year. It was shown Christmas Eve 2 years running. It was filmed here upstairs in our sanctuary. Charles Monroe, when he was 10, was one of the three kings. And when the third wing of Culpeper Garden was opened in the 90s, Charles Monroe was then the chairman of the county board. He was the first black board member who became chairman of the board. He came up to Vera I was then on the board of Culpeper Garden. He came up to Vera at the party after the ceremony and said, "You don't remember me, Mrs. Tilson, but I was one of the three kings in the Christmas Story." When he was 10 years old, he was then about 45.
He said that it had changed his life, that he and his mother became interested in what I was doing at the church and became interested in theater and a whole lot of things that were a result of this. I don't remember what he looked like. I just remember the child who, when they lifted him up to put him on top of one of the animals, looked as if a light had set on it. Oh, I'm the chief king.
But it was a bit of a leap of faith, but we figured we could do it. And then I think we raised another by maybe 350, 400,000, something like that.
I remember being on a committee about what to do with Green Hall. Louise Van Horn chaired that committee, and we wanted to use it for social justice, but we had asbestos in it, so it was going to be very expensive.
I remember that too.
And so they decided to rent it out and give some space to nonprofits because it couldn't be used as the church really wanted it to. And some of the neighbors were not happy about having like an adult daycare facility for, what's the right word now?
I know.
Mentally challenged. That's not it.
Right.
But that's not the latest PC word.
I know.
But the neighbors were going to protest to that, but there just wasn't money to really do what they needed to do to make it work.
Parking up there, and it needs some renovation outside, painting and things like that. Yes.
Well, connected with that, at the time there was controversy about whether the parking lot would be included, and we had to get approval for the county for not paving it.
After my mother died, we started holistic health meetings here. Lasted about a half a year meeting. What our doctors, regular doctors, do not tell us. And persons interested in holistic health. John Kendrick and his family was involved with that, participated in that, Karen, his daughter. And we just met on a regular basis. We had some speakers in talking about how they were helped or healed alternatively. And today I've been helped quite a bit alternatively. I don't go to regular doctors for blood pressure, those type of items, and more serious items. Other memories here would be, I don't know if Rick is here, but he had the capital punishment group. I don't know if that's down up on the wall there. But anyway, I wasn't involved with that, but certainly Rick was involved with that, with the amount of people dying in Virginia, capital punishment. It's equal to Texas, very severe. I don't know how they helped that out, but they kept that up for a long time. So I thought that was an important item here. And so, funny story here. I came when Bob Clark was leaving, and so just a funny story for you. Anyway, he was having one of his last meetings, and talking about whatever, the Bible or whatever he was talking about. Anyway, I was sitting in the front row, and he dropped his glasses on the floor, and you didn't see him. So I stood up. I went and picked him up and gave him to him. He said, "Oh, I thought that was my flask."
I wrote in an event that took place, I think, in 1990, called Soviets Meet Middle America. I was telling my friends about it, and we hosted a number of Soviets just after the wall fell, and it was home hospitality, and we had a big party in Reeve Hall. It was a wonderful party, and they were here for a whole week. Did you host anyone? No? Yeah. Well, lots of people hosted, and other people who didn't host sort of chauffeured them around the city so they could see. And we went. I'll just recount one recollection. We went to the Supergiant at Bailey's Crossroads, the largest supermarket in this area, and I said to the Russian, one of the two Russians who stayed with us, I really don't like this store. I don't like to shop in this store. There are too many choices. It's sort of frustrating. And he said, "Well, no problem in Russia, because when we go to the store, there are no choices."
When I came back from Africa, I actually had a meltdown in front of the cereal. My kids were totally embarrassed because I stood there and I said, "There's two kinds of cereal in my supermarket in Africa, and here, you mean I have to choose?" And I burst out in tears, and I said, "I'm getting out of here. I can't live in this country." But my kids were so embarrassed. But it was basically the re-entry, the tension of re-entry, and it melted down in front of the cereal in the supermarket. I still remember that.